And welcome back to another episode of the Cryptcast. Joining me today is the lovely Zeh Overseer.
Okay, now y'all can celebrate Christmas. Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer had a very shiny nose. Do you think that song would do you think if it weren't for the famous Rankin Bass special, Rudolph would be nobody would know what it is in the year 2021? It would be super obscure?
Probably, because it was just this story that wasn't really spread around until that.
Yeah.
So maybe.
Yeah, maybe it would be obscure. Speaking of Rudolph, by the way, Santa's an asshole in that movie. It used to annoy me when I was a kid, but now as an adult, I'm I kind of respect them for making Santa Claus. You know, the lovable, famous Santa Claus. One of the characters is just ew, you're a freak. And if you're wondering, Zay, why the fuck are you talking about Rudolph? Well, it's because we just watched the Evangelion Rebuild films for this podcast, and I thought it would be really funny if we titled this podcast Episode 16, Let's Talk Rudolph, and then in parentheses, and also Evangelion.
I'm not going to title it like that, but something like that.
No, come on, man. Make the thumbnail all Christmassy, put the Rudolph characters all over it, just to make it seem oh yeah, we're talking about Rudolph, and then maybe there's some Evangelion in there. Just 'cause it will be funny. Cryptcast
Christmas special, and also Evangelion.
Yes.
But anyways, yeah. So you may notice that one of the first episodes that we did of Cryptcast coming back, the first of which we did the Let's Talk series, which is our form of an anime review, was that we did Evangelion, the series and the first film, which was End of Evangelion.
Right.
And that was a whole fucking trip in itself.
Definitely. It kicked off this whole Let's Talk series.
Yeah, for good reason, because Evangelion has such a presence in media that we had to cover it. We had to do it.
Yeah.
It was one of the first anime that I needed to have Zay watch. But yeah, we recently finished all of the Rebuild films. Because if you didn't know, the last Rebuild film, which is the last in all of Evangelion media, came earlier this year.
Which, by the way, if you don't know, the Rebuild films are basically a movie retelling / reboot of Evangelion.
Yeah, so it's very different, but has some elements still from the original, but a lot of it is different. And we're gonna go in depth about the differences between the two, because
right.
I have a lot to say about the differences in character, in build up, in a lot of the story, a lot of it.
So when JChip asked me, "What's your opinion on Evangelion?" in the first podcast we did, where we watched the series, I said, "Yeah, it's pretty good," because it didn't wow me as super hard as it did everyone else. I know it's considered one of, I even said in the podcast, it's considered one of the greatest animated TV shows of all time, and I was just yeah, it's pretty good. I would like to take that statement back. I would like to retract that statement. Evangelion's fucking rad!
Yeah, it's one of those things, man.
Man, I really had to watch this show more than once because, man, Evangelion is so cool. It's so good. I guess this is one of those things where I had to watch it twice.
Yeah. Also, I do want to say that when we were going through the Rebuild films, I had already seen the first 3. I just needed to rewatch them so I could be, in the same line with Zay, because Zay was viewing them for the first time. And then recently, as in just a couple hours ago, we watched the final film together for the first time together. And holy shit, dude.
Okay, so, same thing we say every time. Spoilers, by the way.
Yeah, spoilers ahead for both Evangelion, the series, Evangelion and the Veva, Evangelion, the Rebuild films, and Evangelion, the last Rebuild film.
If my reaction a second ago didn't cue you in, I'm gonna say it. If you don't want to be spoiled, go watch these movies, man. They're so good.
Like, honestly, depending on your thoughts between the two, you could honestly go into these movies without even watching the original Evangelion. Like, it's a weird stance to have, but that's exactly what I told Zay, that, I at first I was telling him, like, oh, these movies, like, take place here, here, and here in the storyline. After this episode, recapping this episode. But no, then I broke it down that, like, honestly, just go into these movies as their own movies. Because the first two are retellings of practically the whole anime. Just with a lot of changes.
Okay, see, alright, I knew going in that these films were going to be, like, a remake of the original anime. What I did not know going in, and that I found out while watching, is that the first movie of the four is a shot-for-shot remake / retelling of the anime series. It's like the first 5 episodes condensed into an hour and a half. But, like, I mean it, shot for shot. It's like they retraced over the original anime.
And it also, contributing to that, at the very end, there is a scene where Shinji is talking to Rei, and in the background, because they're standing across from each other, in the background you can see the original anime being played in the background.
Yeah, I had to have... Yeah, JChip had to point that out to me, where he's just like, that's the original anime! And I'm like, is it? Oh shit, it is!
Oh my
but
God.
It was the end. I was gonna say it's the end of Eva, but then I'm just like, no, that's a different movie. I was like, it's you know what I mean. It's the end of Evangelion. They had to do something weird.
Yeah, it's the conclusion of Evangelion.
But yeah, the first movie, completely just exact same as the show. It's like the first episode of Evangelion is like the first 15 minutes. They cut a half an hour episode into 15 minutes. And honestly, I think maybe, I'm not sure, because it's been over a year since I watched the original Evangelion. But I think I enjoyed it a lot more this time around because, like, watching it in movie form, I think I prefer it in movie form because, like, I guess the pace was just a lot, like, quicker, and that I don't want to say, like, they cut out a lot of, like, I don't want to call it fat because it was still really good, the old series, but, like, and I also don't want to call it filler, one, because I hate that word, and two, because it's not really, like, filler in that it's hard to explain. I just think, like, watching the first 5 episodes as an hour and a half movie, like, I think I liked it a lot more in, like, that way.
That's why a lot of people actually like the movies before End of Eva, is that they were a recap of the anime, but, like, rushed a lot better. Like, it had a better pacing and and gave some extra stuff too in the process.
And they did, and as a movie, they did, like, switch things around a bit. They did change things in that things are in different order, because, like, I remember one shot that I remember specifically from the anime series is that when Shinji first gets in the Eva and starts fighting his first angel, it goes horribly wrong, and then it just immediately hard cut to Shinji in the hospital bed, and you don't know what happens. It's not revealed until later that we see what happens. In the movie, they just they just show you the whole thing. There's not that cut to the hospital.
Yeah.
Which honestly I liked, but that's honestly a cut that I really liked from the anime series, so I was sad to see that removed. But they did do some other really creative, like, transitional cuts in this one to like make up for that, because I'm not sure. I don't think this was in the original series. Again, it's been a while, so maybe it wasn't. If it was, please correct me. But one shot, I loved what they did in this movie, where it's like Misato goes into Shinji's room and he's just like, "You did a really good thing today. People are going to praise you for it." Immediate hard cut to Shinji getting beat up at school. Like, I love that. I love that like hard cut transition.
Because it's a contrast.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, he's like, so much for people praising me. Another big thing, a big change, a big notable change was Asuka's introduction.
Oh yeah, Asuka had a hell of an intro.
Because Asuka doesn't show up for at least like 5 or 6 episodes in the original. This one, she showed up really fucking soon. And she was introduced a lot better, in my opinion.
Oh my god, yes. That episode on the boat.
Yeah.
Didn't care for that one.
Yeah.
It also made... What's Misato's boyfriend's name? I can never remember his name.
Ryoji.
It also made Ryoji a lot more likable for me, because in the movies, in this version, his first introduction isn't soiled by the fact that as soon as stuff starts going down, he gets in a plane and leaves. Like, that really soured my opinion of him in the show. So, that doesn't happen in the movies. So, I was a lot more on board with this guy.
Yeah, and I'm going to get it out of the way, since I brought up Asuka. I'm on such a confliction with her, because there's things that I like about her from the original better than the rebuild, and there's a lot of things that I like about her in the rebuild as opposed to the original. I think that's what Hideaki Anno was going for, honestly, that he wants to make Asuka a conflicting character, and it honestly comes through that way. And he's such a fucking troll, dude. but like, oh my god. But again, Asuka's introduction was a lot better in this one. I will say that. Because the whole shit out at sea was not really that great. And also, she was a lot more, like, confident, but, like, also, like, introducing herself instead of being all vague.
Yeah.
But, yeah. And throughout the Rebuild films, she becomes such a strong character, but she still has her major flaws, which is understandable. But, like, she still has all the flaws from the original and never really built upon it. She's still, like, this fucking edgelord tsundere. It's just, I don't know. I honestly, some aspects of her character development I like more in the original.
Yeah, I can totally see that. Like, she didn't get as much development in the movies.
Yeah. However, I think the biggest difference in her character development in the movies is presentation. Because she was still presented amazing in these films. Like, the way it looks, the way she looks, the way she acts is a lot better in these films than in the original. Her story is a lot better in the original, but her presentation in these films are a lot better. You get what I'm saying?
Oh, no, totally. I absolutely do. So that's why you have that, like, conflicting emotions about her.
Yeah, because, like, I hate certain things about her in the Rebuild films. I hate certain things about her in the original. I love things about her in the original. I love things about her in the Rebuild films. She's still a bitch, but that's the one consistent thing. She's a fucking bitch. But, like, I am glad that, like, I'm so glad that she didn't, in these films, didn't have this infatuation with Ryoji. Like, that was so awkward in the original.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing I had with her character, was that she had this weird infatuation with Ryoji, and the only justification people had with it is that she was trying to, have this adult counterpart that she could go after because she has no one else around. And also that she just has this thing with romantic interests that it's her biggest flaw. It's one of her biggest flaws is that she's trying to get like attention and appreciation.
She wants to feel validated.
Yeah, she wants to feel validated from the opposite sex and her superiors.
Which, I mean, kind of relatable.
Yeah, it's just the way the original anime went about it was not great.
I think having these movies having the show condensed into movie form, I think that also helped with my enjoyment because I didn't mention this in the original podcast, but one of the criticisms I did have for Evangelion, the original series, is that a lot of the episodes, to me, just felt like they were hitting the same beats every time. Where, like, every episode, I know it was a Monster of the Week show, I'm totally down with Monster of the Week shows. Like, those are fine, but, like, every episode felt like, here's every episode of Eva. Angel shows up. They send the Evangelions to fight it. Oh no, the Angel's too strong. At the last second, they do something to stall it. And they're like, how long do we have? 20 hours. And then Misato's like, I have a plan. Here's the plan. And they're like, that's too risky. And she's like, what choice do we have? And then they do the plan and everything works out. Like, that's every episode.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, a lot of the Angels, like almost all of the Angels, are completely redesigned and rewritten for these movies. All those episodes that I thought were just like the same, they just felt the same to me, they all blurred together, those are completely changed, and like that, I don't know, man, I just prefer the movies, I guess. I'm sorry to all you Evangelion fans, super fans.
Yeah, that's fair. It's just the Rebuild films, honestly, there's not as much hate as people think there is. There's confliction with these films because, like, obviously you can go into these movies only watching these movies and not watch the original and then watch the original after. You can do that, but you can also watch the anime and End of Eva and then the Rebuild films and then form an opinion on that. You can go about it either way and still have this confliction. If you only watched one, then sure, that's your enjoyment of Eva, I guess. You can go about it any way you want. Eva is meant to make you think.
And it does
Evangelion
that very well.
Evangelion is just one of those anime that's supposed to make you think. About your life, about morals, about feeling certain things.
Yes.
The biggest thing, this is such a huge thing, is that the fucking time skip. The fucking time skip, dude.
Yeah.
Okay, so how the time skip worked is that, Shinji did his thing, and he went away for a while. Because he did his thing, trying to save everyone.
He's not trying to avoid spoilers. He just genuinely doesn't know what happened, and neither do I.
Well, I know and don't know. Like it's confusing, but Shinji did his thing, trying to save the world, and then he didn't know he was actually gone for 14 years. It's a huge fucking time skip, dude.
Yeah.
He was gone for 14... He was 14 when he went away!
And then he comes back, and all of a sudden everybody hates him. Which, by the way, that is a thing that bugged me. It's like, yeah, I totally understand that they're mad at him. Absolutely. And like, yeah, put the explodey collar on his neck and like, put him in a cell somewhere. I get all of that. But they could have at least explained to him what happened, instead of giving him the silent treatment. And they don't explain it to him until his father sends an Eva to come pick him up, and like, It's like, you could have spent the time that, like, you had Asuka walk into the room, punch the glass, and, like, call him an idiot. You could have used that time to, like, I don't know, explain what happened and why you put a bomb on his neck. Maybe then he wouldn't have left, huh? Did you think of that?
Yeah. He just wanted answers, dude. But it's whatever. Time skip aside, he's 14 years in the future, so he's technically 28 at this point. Everyone else is aged up. Asuka and Rei are 28 or somewhere around there.
Aren't they all the same age because they all got, like, stuck in the Evas?
No, because Asuka's a full adult now in the Rebuild films. One thing people will notice if they watch the third film in particular on why Asuka looks so different. She almost died. She almost fucking died. They still don't fucking go in depth on how she fucking survived. Because fucking Eva Unit 1 killed her fucking, her link cable. You know? And I know the Evas actually do have an eject. Because in this last film, she does that to fucking leave. To save herself and everyone else. She just fucking ejects. But I don't think she did that here. She had to have done that to survive, but like she didn't, there wasn't a shot for that. So I don't know. But anyway, she barely survived. However, there's also this shot where there's also this shot in the fucking final film that shows her like shows her going in depth about her character, how she's always alone and everything, having this bit of existential crisis kind of thing. And in the background, there's a background shot that shows Asuka or Langley type, as in clone type. And I don't know if that's actually a thing, that she's a fucking clone like Rei. I don't know. I could probably read about it right now, but I'm not going to.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, going into these movies, I promise you, viewers, I wanted to follow along with the plot and like the everything going on in the background with like the Human Instrumentality Project and, you know, Rei's clones and all that stuff and Adam. I really did want to follow along, but I gave up real quick. And I know I wrote down the exact line where I realized, like, I'm not going to be able to follow this plot. It was when Shinji's father, Gendo, right? That's his name? Not Genjo?
It's Gendo.
This is the line. When, I forgot his name again, Misato's boyfriend, what is it? Ryuji, he drops off like a briefcase in front of Gendo, and he's like, Gendo said, "This will open the gates of human instrumentality, the key of Nebuchadnezzar." When I heard key of Nebuchadnezzar, I just threw my hands up. It's just like, nope, I'm not going to be able to follow this. It's too confusing. I had to look up the word Nebuchadnezzar, because I'm like, that's got to mean something. Dr. Seuss did not write this movie. That's got to mean something. And apparently it's like the name of some guy who like went to Egypt and like helped the Jews escape Jerusalem or something. That stuff that everyone talks about, that's not the reasons I love Evangelion. I love Evangelion because like the characters are so like interesting and like have all these layers to them. They're all have all these struggles and pain that they're going through, and like seeing Shinji go from this. I love seeing how the characters develop throughout the series. Like seeing Shinji go from this kid who like wants to avoid getting hurt and feeling pain at all costs, so he like hides himself away from the world and doesn't want to talk to anyone. Seeing him go from that to this kid who like takes up responsibility and makes connections with all of these people, starts making friends and wants to do everything he can to give his own life in order to protect them, to fight for them. And like, I love Eva because it has like incredible fight scenes. and like with super amazing choreography and like angel designs that are so fucking cool. I don't know who designed the angels for Evangelion, but I don't know what that person was paid, but it wasn't enough. And these amazing fight scenes with this beautiful, incredible animation, just like absolutely insane animation, and like beautiful music to go along with it. So many memorable scores and moments, all that stuff. That is why I love Evangelion. All this bullshit about God and Adam and the Tree of Life and Dead Sea Scrolls and Nebuchadnezzar and like all this religious symbolism of how like, oh, Ray's hair color like relates back to this ancient text from 2,000 years ago that no one's ever read. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care, JChip. I don't care.
I care about the shit in universe. I don't care about the shit that has all this symbolism about ancient shit.
But yeah, that was my rant. Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's fine. And honestly, that's the way to go about it. Like, honestly, you can appreciate aspects of like, oh, this is in relation to this, and this in real life. But honestly, it's an anime. Watch it because it's a fucking anime. Watch it because you're a fucking degenerate weeb. Also, fuck anyone that shows Evangelion to someone as their gateway anime. Fuck you. You are trying to traumatize and fuck up this person for life. God damn. But anyways, one thing other than Asuka's bitchiness has stayed consistent in these movies is that Gendo is a fucking asshole.
I said in the last podcast when you asked who's your least favorite character, and you said everybody says Gendo, and I was like, he wasn't really around enough for me to hate him. This time, fuck Gendo. I hate him so much.
Like, I don't even fucking care that, like, in the end, he, like, had this, like, sob story that, like, this is why I do this and this and this. Like, I don't fucking care. You're a sociopath.
You know, I will say, that was nice to have, but it did not redeem him. And I don't think it was supposed to. It was just supposed to explain his motivation.
Yeah, like, honestly, that makes for a good villain, because villains are supposed to, you know, have this reasoning why they do what they do. That's what makes good villains.
Yes.
Other than like, oh, I'm just a fucking psychopath.
Yeah, a great villain is someone who like, you understand where they're coming from, but their method is like, dude, that's too far. That's what makes a great villain.
Yeah, he's a fucking insane person, but like not like mad scientist insane.
He put Shinji through so much shit. He made him think he killed, like, well, Shinji did kill everyone, but, like, it was, in the end, it was his fault. It was Gendo's fucking prophecy.
Yeah, and one of his lines that I remember in the very end during his sob story was that, along the lines of, I thought the best thing to do for Shinji would to be neglecting him because he reminds me too much of his mother, and he would do better without me. No! That's not at all what you should have done, Gendo! You should have been a fucking dad. You should have maybe, I don't know, talked to your son. You stupid asshole. God damn it.
Fuck him. I'm glad he didn't get a happy ending.
Yeah. Dude, it was so fucking satisfying to see Shinji fight his dad in a fucking Eva. Eva Unit 1 versus Eva 13, which was just pretty much a copy of Eva 1. Oh my god, that fight was so satisfying, dude. Even though it was completely ridiculous.
It looked kind of silly to me, mostly because, like, it was motion capture.
Yeah, it was motion capture, and they were, like, on this virtual plane. They weren't, like, they were fighting in this weird realm where they were like, it was kind of like a simulation, but it's not.
It was like
because
Shinji's
like
memories, but there was like, it was like props and like a set.
Yeah, because like they fought in Ray's room, they fought in Nerve HQ, they fought in a fucking field. It's like, it's so fucking ridiculous, dude. But it's such a badass fight, dude. And that's what I really like, is that like the fucking animation makes these fights so fucking good, dude.
The fight scenes in the last movie, oh my god! Like there's one fight like in the middle of the movie when they're trying to get to Nerve HQ and like fighting through all these tiny Ava robot things, and like that was like the most epic fight scene I've seen in like years. That shit was so cool.
Also, and remember, take into account the whole Avas in this isn't even like the main thing with Evangelion, because Evangelion is a parody of Gundam. They're just there as a plot device, but fucking they're utilized so well in here, even in like their minimal scenes. Another thing I want to mention is that, and this broke me in the fucking original, and we were also in a call when we were watching End of Ava. We were in a call with our friend, Josh, JTVA.
Who was very kindly there to explain to me what was happening.
Yes. I can't, I forgot to mention that in the previous podcast, but I'm mentioning it here now because it was a great moment that we watched End of Ava with Josh to have a better explanation of things, because even though I saw Evangelion all the way through, I still couldn't explain things in the way Josh could have. But anyways,
I feel like they actually made more of an effort to like better explain what was happening in like these movies, because like I was able to like, by the end of the final movie, I was able to like piece together, like they like not only do they do the whole Gendo like explanation of his backstory and his motivation, but like they go in depth of like what Nerve's plan was the very beginning and how they went about it. And I was able to follow it a lot better in the original, because like the spears is the first thing that came to mind, because in the original I was just like, what is it, what is this, where does this spear come from, what does it do, like why is it here? In this movie they actually explain that, where the spears came from and what they do.
Yeah. But yeah, continuing my point is that in the original, me and Josh fucking broke down when Misato died the way she did in the original, in End of Ava. But in this one, because she survived, because she lasted that 14 years, her death was so much more impactful in this final film, because she went out with a bang. She sacrificed herself to help Shinji, to help humanity.
Yeah.
She is one of the biggest heroes of all time in this world.
Yeah, she pulled a General Holdo.
Yeah. Dude, and I felt just as fucking bad when she died here than when she died in the original.
It's okay, man.
Oh my god,
know.
she's my favorite character, dude.
Misato's my favorite too. I know.
But honestly, there's still some things I prefer about her character in the original as opposed to the movies, and that's fine, because like they fleshed out her character in the anime because they had all that time in 25 episodes to do so.
Yeah.
And however, her character in the movies is still amazing.
Oh yeah, like she's constantly fighting against this, like, because she's like, I know this isn't her actual rank, but she's basically a general where like she has to like when the entire world is on her shoulders, so she has to make sure, like, she's constantly fighting against her emotions of just like when she hesitates to kill Shinji, or like she's like constantly just like trying to avoid just like emotional attachment, her human attachment to people, because like she needs to stop these angels at whatever the cost, and like she's constantly fighting herself with that, and like she's wondering, like, is she just doing this to get revenge for her father, or is she doing this for selfish reasons? She has a lot going on.
Yeah. And in the original, she had this weird toxic relationship with Ryoji. Like, she was very on again, off again with him. In this one, she's still kind of that, but also she ends up with him in the end. And they have a kid together. And Shinji meets their kid. And then he was told, like, oh, that's Masato's kid with Ryoji. Like, holy shit, dude. She worked things out with Ryoji. And she's a much stronger general. And unfortunately, Ryoji died before her. Which I said during the movie that I'm so glad that, like, Masato stayed alive long enough, and that, oh yeah, it's sad Ryuji died, but Masato is...
Fuck that guy. No offense, Masato, but fuck your husband. I'm glad you're okay.
Yeah. But, like, it is... Again, Ryuji is such a better character in these movies than he was in the original.
He really... Yeah. I liked him a lot more.
And... Okay, another character we have to talk about is Rei, obviously.
Yeah. She got Okay, go ahead. I'll let you explain.
So, in the original, it is explained that she's, like, a clone. She's a Rei-type clone of, originally, Shinji's mother, Ayanami. And then, but throughout the Rebuild films, she is this one clone that sticks around for so long. And Shinji in the time skip, after the time skip, he thinks, like, oh, you survived. But no, it's just... I'm assuming it's just another clone.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
That doesn't know they're a clone.
Yeah.
Because throughout this last movie, she was having this existential crisis about, like, I'm supposed to do this. I can do this. I'm feeling these things. She's feeling these things as a human. And it's so heartbreaking, but also so wholesome to watch at the same time. It's because she shouldn't be going through this existential crisis. She really shouldn't be. And it's so heartbreaking to watch anyone go through that. But the way she does learn about things, and she learns to appreciate life, that's what makes her character so wholesome and nice.
I loved that every time she asked herself, like, what would Rei Amanami do? I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that last name. Like, what would Rei do? She keeps asking herself, and everyone around her is always just like, fuck Rei, what do you want to do?
Exactly. Like, just because she's a clone doesn't mean she has to act like a clone. She can be her own individual person, and she only understands that at the very end, and then because of that, she sacrifices herself, and Shinji does at the very end go on to pilot the Eva. This is the one time throughout the entire series where you actually feel like rooting for Shinji to get in the Eva.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the original, we're like, fuck, no, Shinji. Dude, it's such a traumatizing experience. Don't get in the fucking Eva.
But of course, it never works out. Every time he gets in one, something goes wrong.
Yeah, whether it's his fault or something out of his control. something goes wrong.
Also, the whole, like, child soldier thing that Ava is constantly showing is not a good thing.
Yeah, like, Masato points that out several times, like, we'll reach this point where we don't have to use children as the pilots. Like, yeah, that should have been a thought process for everyone.
The children should have been plan B.
But, yeah, Shinji knew towards the end that, like, it is what it is. It is what it is. But he finally gets into Ava willingly, not under, like, all this pressure. Like, obviously, there's still slight pressure. Like, he needs to do this and this to save everyone. He needs to confront his father. But he's willingly doing this to save everyone, to help everyone, because he's such a generous person. He's such a caring person. And that's why I love Shinji's character in these movies.
I do too. Shinji's, you nailed it on the head. Shinji's such a good character.
Yeah.
I can see why, like, so many people find him so relatable. Because, like, we see him go through so many phases. We see him, like, rise up and then fall crashing back down and then rise up again multiple times.
Yeah.
He goes through so many arcs in just 4 movies, is what I'm saying. He goes through a lot of arcs.
Yeah. And that's good character development. And in the last movie, because he's having such a silent phase, like, he wants to avoid everyone, he doesn't actually speak, and he doesn't actually speak for 40 minutes into the movie. That's like the Godzilla not showing up in the Godzilla movie until an hour in.
Yeah, who would be dumb enough to do that?
You get what I mean? Like, I hate when things do that. Like, they, like, oh my god, every character is so fleshed out.
By the way, there's we are like a long ways into this podcast. There's a totally new character we haven't even mentioned yet.
Yeah,
like,
so
new character to these films.
In these films, we were introduced to Mari. I always forget her name, last name.
Yeah,
but it's her name is Mari, and she wears glasses. She has a pink plug suit, and
she calls Shinji doggy.
Yeah, she has these weird names, and she has this infatuation with Asuka. I don't even know if it's a friendship or if it's a lesbian thing, which either way I'm fine with. It's just weird how she goes about it. But she is a strong character in that she's, like, a good fighter. And she, you know how the whole thing with the Ava is that it can go berserk. She harnessed that power. She harnessed the berserk mode. And that's actually a super strong point about her. But the thing with Mari, though, is that other than that point I just said, she is an Ava pilot. She is one of the main focuses of this anime. But she's an Ava pilot that is just there. She's just there as some kind of plot point, but she's not a memorable character in my opinion, honestly.
Yeah.
Doesn't have any character qualities that makes me, oh, I love this character. I love this and this and this about this character. Literally only those 2 points that I mentioned about her are the only memorable points. Other than that, she is just there in the background.
You're totally right with the whole, like, she's an Ava pilot. Because, yeah, if you're going to give the super, like, complex and, like, interesting characterization to any character, it should be the pilots. But yeah, you're right. She's just there. Like, I don't even know, like, we finished the movies. Maybe I missed something, but I still don't know what the fuck her motivation was.
Yeah, she just showed up and, like, Like, oh, look at this, I'm good at being an Eva pilot. That's literally all it was. It's kind of like how Asuka was originally introduced. That, like, oh, I'm a phenomenal Eva pilot. I'm here now. That's how she felt like.
When I first saw her in the trailer for the fourth movie, because like that was watching the trailer for the fourth movie, that was my first time really realizing, oh my god, these movies really are different from the show. What is going on? Who is this new character? I gonna be honest, I was disappointed because I was like, I was expecting to learn a lot more about her. To be like, if you're going to add a new character to the series that wasn't in the original, I mean, yeah, she was plot significant in like the most bare bones definition of the fact that she did stuff that needed to happen, but I feel like you could have done more with her.
Yeah. You know what another character like we need to discuss a little bit that just showed up but like was this huge focal point was Karu. The whitish silver hair kid that showed up from the fucking moon.
Yeah, spoiler, he's the first angel and also the 13th angel.
Yeah.
Somehow.
I think the whole thing. I think the whole thing behind.
I apologize.
I think the whole thing behind him was that he was this embodiment of Adam. I think that's the whole point of his character, is that he was the human embodiment of Adam, which was the first Eva, or first angel, or whatever. I always get so confused with that. But
yeah,
he is that focal point. Like, but he becomes this focal point for Shinji, because Shinji like meets him and has a great time with him and like relates so much to him. And then when he fucking breaks down when Karu sacrifices himself. He takes Shinji's collar, his collar that has a detonation device if he were to pilot an Eva, because everyone doesn't want him to pilot an Eva. He sacrifices himself for Shinji.
Yeah, I love that moment where Shinji's just like, I can't trust anybody. Everybody's turned against me. Everybody's been lying to me. And Karu's like, you can trust me. And Shinji's like, no, I can't. How can I know I trust you? And Karu just like, okay, fine. And he takes Shinji's collar and puts him on himself. It's just like, now if anyone's going to die on this mission, it's not going to be you. It's going to be me. And that's what gives Shinji the courage of just like, I can trust this guy. So that Karu was proving himself. I love that.
He is actually wanting what everyone else wants for this just to be all over.
Yeah.
Like, he's just that point like, all right, dude, we need to close this up. We need to like not have Evas and angels be a thing anymore. And that's honestly like, I was so conflicted about his character at first in the original, because he was just there. He just showed up. But in these movies, he was more fleshed out, I feel.
Yeah, like, I really dug their relationship in these movies, more than the original.
Yeah. But, like, another thing I was gonna say during the movie, during the scenes where Shinji was just playing piano with him, with Karu, I was like, shit, Shinji, you could just forget everything, forget everyone, and just fucking play piano, dude. I'd be fine with that.
That's how the movie ends.
Like, fuck everyone else, just play piano, dude. Dude.
The real message of Evangelion. Just play piano, dude.
It's fucking Yurlai and April all over again.
I'll admit, I do think I like the movies more than the series. But, you know, that's just me. If you like the series more because of, like, what it does with the characters or, like, the message it sends, or, like, maybe you like one ending over the other, I mean, like, different strokes for different folks, you know?
Mm-hmm. But, yeah, I'm honestly really glad that I got to experience those anime with you, and I'm glad I got to experience this franchise with you. Cause I love doing these Let's Talks with you, and I love Evangelion.
I feel like I was a lot more thorough in this podcast than I was in the first one. I feel like I've gotten better at this whole review thing.
Yeah, that's good. And honestly, I don't know what to do after, and I don't know what to do with Eva after this last movie. The last movie was the farewell to Eva. There's nothing else coming after it. Like, there's nothing in the credits. It's literally the end.
Yeah. This 40-year-old series is finally just wrapped up. There's nothing left to do, I guess. I mean, they could bring it back, but I doubt it.
I know, you lying ass bitch. You're gonna milk this franchise to the ground until it becomes the Japanese equivalent of Star Wars.
I want to give my props to not only Hideaki Anno, who adapted and made such a good series and film works, but Studio Kara and Gainax and the formerly people behind Trigger, who also worked on it, and all of the cast from the original dub and the Netflix dub, they all did so amazing with this franchise. And whatever Hideaki Anno wants to go on to work on next, I fully support it. Because that man is a fucking badass of a director.
Now, can we please not send him death threats so he doesn't make a movie where he kills all our favorite characters again?
Please don't ask more of him. Don't be like people are to Sakurai, please. Do you think End of Eva ended things better, or do you think Rebuild ended things better?
That's a tough question. I guess it all depends on what your view of the world is. Do you want a cynical ending or an optimistic ending?
Yeah, because this one was a more wholesome ending. And literally they had a song that was different from the original, where in the original it was Come Sweet Death, or Tumbling Down, as most people refer to it as. But in this version, in this last movie, they have a different song, but it's in the same tone as Come Sweet Death, but in a more optimistic way. And I love that. That's such high amount of detail. God damn it, I love Eva. And if you love the series that we talk about, please go watch them. Please go enjoy these franchises. I know we spoil a lot, but you can still watch things being spoiled. I've done that plenty of times. But honestly, going into Eva, Zeh was spoiled on a lot already, but he still enjoyed it. Because, you know, fucking memes exist. Evangelion memes are fucking top tier. But yeah, go watch these franchises that we talk about if you haven't already, and please leave your thoughts in the comments or Twitter replies when this comes out, because we want to hear everyone's thoughts on our stupid thoughts. We're just a bunch of fucking degenerates.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to do more.
So going back to Rudolph, right?
Let's review Rudolph next.
Going back to Rudolph for a second. The land of misfit toys, I didn't realize this. I think that's just the land of bootlegs. Because, like, you got Charlie in a box, and you got a cowboy riding an ostrich. I think it's China. I think the land of misfit toys is just China.
He knows too much. We gotta cut him off. He knows too much. Okay, bye-bye, everyone.
No, I want to review Rudolph